A woman on a trip was targeted by three punks. The faster she walks, the more she panics. She grabbed a random guy and pretended to be her boyfriend. They stopped following her, so May apologized and left. But the man was shocked by the sudden kiss. He couldn't believe it. He couldn't leave for a long time. May felt it was unethical to leave him like that, so she walked towards him step by step. May is a writer, but she gave up writing for her family. She thought her sacrifice would make her family more harmonious, but what she got in return was her husband's betrayal. And for lack of evidence, her husband was able to get half of the house in alimony she bought. From that moment on, Xiaomei no longer had light in her eyes. In order to afford the alimony, she sold the other half of the house, from the hope of marriage to almost leaving her home. Xiaomei was deeply hurt. Her best friend gave her a plane ticket, hoping she'd be happy again. May had no choice but to go to Tuscany. She went to the bustling marketplace, looking at the crystal clear fruits on the roadside. She seemed to be in a better mood. Suddenly a smile was like a ray of light. It completely brightened up May's dark world. She couldn't help but look for it, but after turning a corner, she completely lost sight of it. Xiaomei wandered around the street with some regrets. A villa for sale attracted her. Just then the woman reappeared behind her. She suggested that she buy the house. At this point, a couple who were looking at the house decided to buy it, but the owner doubled the price. The couple was so angry that they left on the spot. Just as Xiaomei was about to leave in disappointment, an accident happened. The old lady behind her thought it was fate. She sold the house to Xiaomei at the original price. The money she had saved from selling the house was all that was left. May felt it was worth it. But what she didn't know, this is a 300-year-old house. It inherited a faucet with no water, 10,000 wine bottles and a grate, and of course, all kinds of wild tenants. May felt that all this was terrible. And what's worse, an owl suddenly came to the bedside. May said something nice to make it go away, but the owl just stared at her coldly, as if it were a ghost. Luckily, the neighbors were very nice. They came early in the morning to help her improve her house, but it almost collapsed by accident. But when they went back and saw the mess, May smiled in surprise. The collapsed house was like her broken heart. Now she's going to fix it up again. Although it was hard and tiring, but it would help her forget the pain for a while. They got along well with her neighbors. She even went to a party. At the party, she met the woman from before. She advised her never to lose her passion. That day, a snake got into the house. She called the neighbors for help. The neighbors didn't even see the snake. Once again, Xiaomei was devastated. She felt that the whole world was against her. The neighbor set up the fireplace. He reassured her that she should never lose her hopes and fantasies. If you want to be happy, she should be bold and strive for it. Xiaomei was in a much better mood. In order to buy the right furniture, she went to the town to look for an antique dealer, but by accident, she kissed a strange man's face. A sweet love came to her. They went for a drive together. They sat and talked and drank, and so they fell in love. They arranged to meet again next week. Xiaomei fantasized about the date every day, but her best friend's sudden arrival disrupted her plans. She cried and said she was dumped by a scummy guy. That's how she missed the date. May was picking mushrooms in the mountains, but her neighbor showed her a good thing. She picked up the binoculars and took a look. She saw the boyfriend she'd always wanted, but he seemed to be leaving. She called out his name. She ran down the hill, but she didn't care. She got up and ran, but in the end, she was too late. She could only watch as the car disappeared from sight. Luckily, her boyfriend left her a letter. He said he'd dreamt of her wearing a white jacket more than once. Xiaomei realized Xiao Shuai was trying to propose to her, so she blamed her best friend even more. Why don't you do something to keep him? She was in a hurry to explain, but the baby was in labor. The baby came to them, bringing new life and hope. That day, someone sent her a package. When she opened it, she found a picture with her ex-husband. The sweetness and beauty of that moment was like a dream, so she took the initiative to pursue happiness. She put on the white jacket from Shuai's dream. She came to Xiao Shuai's house. They met again at the beach. Xiao Shuai couldn't help but praise him for becoming even more beautiful. Xiaomei kissed him on the cheek, but just when she was about to renew their love, on the balcony there was a woman in a white dress. At this moment, Xiaomei's heart turned to ashes. She smiled bitterly and said goodbye. May left without looking back. She pretended in front of her friends that nothing had happened, but when she was alone, she broke down and went crazy. Suddenly, she heard something in the yard. A young couple was hugging and crying. Because the girl's parents didn't want them to be together, May decided to do something about it. So So she went to the girl's parents. The father taunted the boy for having nothing. He doesn't even have a family. Xiaomei quickly pulled the boy to her side. I'm his family. And so it was. Two people who love each other successfully held a wedding. Looking at their happy faces, Xiaomei's mouth with a smile. Her eyes were completely moist. At the banquet, the neighbor took his arm. He said in a deep and meaningful voice, "The happiness you want has always been there. It's just that it's in a different form."